everybody and welcome to Fab Tax. I'm Rosemary and in today's video I have some Dollar Tree Coastal Farmhouse decor. This is actually part 1 of a 4-part series, and in this video I will be focusing on classic blue and white theme, while neutrals and teal and white will be featured in upcoming videos. But for now, it's gonna all be about the classic blue and white. It's a lot to cover, so let's jump right in. For the first DIY, I'm going to use 4 of the Dollar Tree shadow boxes. Now, I can only get 3 of the same kind, but as long as they are the same size, you could just, since I'm going to be painting them, it was fine. I could just go ahead and use the 4th one that was a different type. And now I'm also going to use some of these wood cutouts from the Dollar Tree, this 1 pack, as well as the shell from this other pack. This one had seahorses and a little mermaid at the top. But I'm going to just be using the seashell from that package of wood cutouts. Then I'm going to use some of this Serene Americana Decor paint that I purchased at Michael's. For this video, I will be doing everything in that color of blue. Now in the future video, I'm going to be using this French teal. These are really interchangeable. They will both give that great coastal farmhouse look. But I'm going to do everything in this serene blue for this video and then do the teal in the future video. But again, if teal is your preference, you can certainly do that with these DIYs in this video. It will work just as well. And vice versa for the teal video, you'll be able to use this more muted blue shade for those. To begin, I just wanted to pop off the little paw print here in this one. And in this case, I was able to pop that off and the little wood riser stayed in place. Now, if you see here, the next one I did, the riser came off and then I couldn't get it off of the little paw. And then the same thing happened for the gather little shadow box. And so I'm going to be using these wood craft cubes from Dollar Tree in order to create the risers for those 2 shadow boxes. And then for the 2 shadow boxes that did have the riser stay on the box, I will just go ahead and use those. But for those other 2, I will be using the wood cubes in order to create a riser for mine. And then I'm going to paint the shadow boxes with some white chalk paint. And then the little wood cutouts I'm going to paint with that serene blue paint. And now here you can see where everything has been painted. And I attached the little wood cube risers. I also had to add a couple pieces of the broken up pieces of these little wood cutouts in order to make them equally as high as the little cubes. So that's why the other side has a little misshapen riser there on the side. But I'm just going to go ahead and add some wood glue to the surface of the riser and then attach the little wood cutouts that have been painted in that serene blue. And you can just see how nicely the blue contrasts with the white. It's just a simple blue and white little motif, but it just makes such a great impact and such a nice, clean, nautical coastal farmhouse look. And then here we see the finished project, quick and easy, and a great addition to any coastal farmhouse decor. For the next DIY, I'm going to be using this ball and small globe vase from the Dollar Tree. Now that is the smaller globe vase. There is a larger one, so you want to get the smaller one. And then some white paint. And I will be making a little sea urchin vase / candle holder. First, I'm going to take the ball on the underside and then count down 3 rows from, I guess you can call it its little belly button there. And just puncture the ball in. And then I'm going to cut to the outside of that 3rd row of little spikes that come out of this porcupine type ball. And then I'm going to just remove that top portion and then go back to that back side of the ball and cut straight down to the middle of the ball, creating that type of shape where I'm going to now put the vase inside. And so I'm basically going to just, and again, this is that smaller vase. There is a larger one, but it's not going to fit in this ball. You need to have the smaller globe vase from the Dollar Tree. And then I just basically place the vase inside the little casing now of what used to be the ball. And I'm just showing you here from a different angle how I kind of just slide it in and then wrap the ball around the vase. And then when it comes to the back of the vase, all I'm doing is I'm laying down flat one side of the ball, and then I'll just take the other side and lay it right on top. Then I just want to go around to the front of the ball and make sure I don't have any gapping and that the ball is laying flat on the surface of the vase. Next, I applied the paint using a flat stencil type foam brush. And I just applied the paint to the base. I wanted to keep the little spokes free of any paint. I wanted those to remain blue. And I did switch to chalk paint because the craft paint was a little bit too shiny. And I got any paint off that got on any of the spokes. And then I just did that for the entirety of the ball. And then I just went back and made sure that I didn't have any spaces or any little gaps. And then this was what the finished project looked like, a cute little blue and white sea urchin. And I wanted to show you as well how cool it looks when it's lit up. And you can see how the light shines right through those blue pieces. It kind of looks like a light bright sea urchin, or one of those Christmas trees that have the lights that come out of the tree. For the next DIY, I'm going to use one of these Dollar Tree wood frames with a little heart cut out and a little space there on the side that you can write something down. And then I'm going to take this Google Maps image, which happens to be a picture of the very tip of New Jersey. This is Cape May, New Jersey. And you can see how the image is kind of muted out. I didn't want that bright kind of colors that normally come with the Google Map. So what I did was I took a screenshot of the image and then I put it into PowerPoint in this case, and went into picture format and then into the saturation level and changed it from 100% to 40%. And then you can see where it gave me that nice muted shade. And you can see the difference between the two. Here's the bright one and then the nice and muted, more farmhouse look. Also, I just want to point out that where that little marker is, that is actually Cold Spring, New Jersey, which is about 5 miles from the coast. And that's where my grandfather had a small farm and farmhouse. And I had the great pleasure and joy of spending much of my childhood in an actual coastal farmhouse. For the frame, I wanted to just give it a nice beachy, weathered look. So I'm going to just take the natural wood and I'm going to just use some white chalk paint that I'm going to just dry brush onto the natural surface of the wood. So I just want to give the wood a nice light coating, and all I want to do is give it that bleached out, weathered look. And you can just easily achieve that by dry brushing the white paint onto the natural wood surface. Now, one thing I did want to mention about my grandfather's farmhouse, which is kind of funny to me, is, there wasn't absolutely plenty of mason jars and enamelware and rusty items. But it's kind of funny as I'm doing this, what I'm thinking about is none of that was used for decoration. None of that was used for decor. It all had functional uses. Now, of course, my grandmother had passed away some time before I think he moved his farm from Goshen to Cold Spring. And so I'm sure she would have had some nice feminine touches along the way. But with Pop, those mason jars were actually used for canning. And that 1930s enamelware was actually from the 1930s. And all those dings and scrapes were actually from years of use. He probably would have gotten such a kick out of the idea that we are now actually dinging and scuffing things up on purpose. And that we're using it as decor nonetheless. So I'm sure he would have gotten quite a kick out of that one. But I love it. I think it's beautiful, and it kind of does remind me of him, and especially doing this particular coastal farmhouse. It's it's definitely a walk down memory lane. While the paint was drying, I went and took the little heart cutout from the frame, and now I'm going to just place it over my map image and then trace around it so that I can cut the map out according in that shape so that it'll fit in the frame. Now, I was very blessed to have many Jersey Shore town experiences, from Wildwood across the bridge from Cape May with its fantastic boardwalk and amusement piers, Sea Isle where I read it, Shore Houses with Friends, and that's where I met my husband, Ocean City also with an amazing boardwalk and amusement piers, and then the wonderful, beautiful Brigantine where I spent summers with my own children before moving to Texas. But my first shore love, my dad's hometown, where I spent most of my summers and where much of my family still lives, is the gorgeous Cape May. So when I was doing this project and I was deciding which of my many shore loves I was going to put in this heart-shaped frame, it of course had to be my very first love, Cape May. And so now here along the side, I'm just going to put the words Cape May I'm going to measure up from the bottom about 2.5 inches and then draw a line straight across. That's where the cape is going to go. And I was going to print this off of my computer as I normally do, but I had just earlier today picked up some of these screen print stencils from Michael's. They were on clearance. Michael's is having a wonderful clearance sale if you haven't checked it out yet. And so picked these up for about, I think they were $2.50 from originally $9 or $10. So I was itching to try these out, so I'm going to go ahead and use these to write to stencil the word Cape May. And then in order to help the drying process, I just pulled out my hair dryer, tried to help that C to dry a little bit before I could proceed to my next letters. And then I'm just making sure that I'm lining the bottom of the stencil up with that line that I had drawn, and then I'm just checking to make sure that my spacing is right between the letters. And then I'm going to just take my stencil foam brush. Now, I did get this one at Michael's, but they do sell them at the Dollar Tree as well. And then I'm going to just take off any excess paint and then just pounce straight down onto the stencil, making sure to get the paint into all the little nooks and crannies. And then I just continued with the stenciling. Now, of course, you don't have to put the name of the shore town or the location. You can put just, I've seen just the longitude and latitude. You can do something like my happy place or our happy place, or shore love or my beach love, something like that. Then to remove the line, I just took a damp cloth and just rubbed along the line to remove it. Now, if you're having a little difficulty getting it off or it's still leaving a mark, you can always go back with some paint. But I was able to get that line off pretty easily just with a damp cloth. And then to do the second word, May, I just measured up 1 inch from the bottom and again created a line to go across that I could line my stencils up to evenly put the letters on. And then just proceeded to stencil on my second word, May. Then here's the finished project, and I think that those stencils gave just the right effect, giving the lettering that aged, weathered look. For the next DIY, I'm going to use this small wooden box and this whisk, both from the Dollar Tree. First, I'm going to take some wire cutters and I'm going to just snip the tops of the whisk. So everywhere where the whisk wraps around, I'm just going to clip the top so that all of the spokes now stick straight out. And then I'm going to just go ahead and separate them all out, because what I want to do is transform this whisk into a coral reef. And I'm going to do that by applying some hot glue to the cut spokes of the whisk. Now, this method of using hot glue to create coral trees has been floating around the internet for many years now. And typically what they do is create the tree branches, trunk, and base from wire, and then use the glue to create the bumpy surface. But what I wanted to do here is hack some Dollar Tree items to cut out a few steps and get that same effect. And so by just snipping the top of the whisk, we're able to get the base and the branches ready to go so we can start applying the glue. And so what I'm doing is I'm putting the glue on all around the branches. So I do it to the inside, I do it to the outside. You get, of course, lots of those strings, lots of those hot glue strings, but I just continue to go all the way around the entire whisk on each of the spokes. And then once I have all of the spokes coated on both sides, I did go back and make them even thicker, right? I wanted to create even more of the bumpy surface. So I went back again and did a second coat of the glue on top. And this does use quite a few glue sticks. I probably went through about 5 or 6 of the small glue sticks before I got the bumpiness, the bumpy texture to where I wanted it to be. Now, after I got the glue to my desired level of thickness, I did go and give it a base coat of white paint. Now I use spray paint, but you can also use brush paint. And then for the base, what I did was I took the small wooden box and I removed the drawer and then placed a piece of floral foam into the drawer and then replaced the drawer. Then I wanted to paint the box, and I'm going to use that same weathered white finish that I used on the previous DIY, and just dry brush some white chalk paint all over the surface of the small wood box. And then once the paint was dry, all I needed to do was take the handle of my whisk and insert it right into the box, right into the floral foam inside the drawer. And then to give the coral some texture, I'm going to use some Dollar Tree spackle. It's about 3 tablespoons, and I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of the chalk paint to that. Then I'm going to mix it up nice and smooth, and then just apply it to all of the branches and all of the coral, getting it into all those little nooks and crannies, and that just creates a really nice coral-like finish to the tree. And then once I've gotten all those branches painted and nice and coated, I'm going to go back and make sure I get the gap at the bottom. And so to do that, I'm going to take my glue gun and just fill that in with some hot glue. And then I'm also going to go back to the trunk part, and I'm going to add some glue globs there to create that bumpy surface. And then once that glue is dry, I'll just go back with my spackle paint and paint a fresh coat on top. And then here's the finished project, a cute little coral type tree on a stand. For the next DIY, I'm going to be using one of these Dollar Tree Captain's Wheel wood frames, as well as a Captain's Wheel wind chime, and then another one of those small boxes and a wood dowel. And then I'm going to paint everything with the Serene Blue chalk paint. In addition to painting the pieces with the blue paint, I also added some floral foam to the drawer of the little box that I'm just going to put right back in. Then I'm going to take the wood backing to the frame and flip the picture insert over to the blank side, and then just reattach the backing to the frame. Then I'm going to take my small Captain's Wheel and place it right on top of the larger one so that the spokes of the smaller one are going in between the spokes of the larger one. Then I'm going to use some wood glue to glue the two pieces together. And then I took these Dollar Tree wood letters that I also painted in the Serene Blue, and I did north, south, east, and west, and then I glued it to the wheel spokes with north to the top, and then south to the bottom, then east to the right, and west to the left. And then I took some of this Dollar Tree caulk to fill in the holes on the smaller wheel. And then for a decorative accent, I just took one of these Dollar Tree seashells and attached that with some glue to the center of my now compass wheel. To attach the dowel to the back, I just used some wood glue as well as some hot glue because I wanted to, went up too far there, needed to come back, but just wanted to use some both wood glue and some hot glue because this way I can have the hot glue hold the dowel in place while the wood glue takes more time to set up. And then to give the compass a weathered look, I decided to dry brush some white chalk paint over the surface of the base and the compass, paying special attention to the edges and the other spots that would have gotten naturally worn over time. And then once I was happy with the amount of weathering, I just took the dowel and I just inserted it right into the foam inside the box. Then to fill the gap, I am going to use the caulk again, and I'm just going to put it right inside the little hole and all the way around the bottom of the pole. And then once that caulk is dry, I will go back and paint it with the blue paint. And then here is the finished piece, a fun nautical compass in that beautiful Coastal Farmhouse blue. For the last DIY, I'm going to use 2 of these ceramic seashells from the Dollar Tree, as well as 2 more of the small wooden boxes, and then 2 of these wood arrows, all of these from the Dollar Tree, and then also the stones from the Dollar Tree. Now, I do have wood slats from Walmart that would have been perfect here, but I did want to use all Dollar Tree, so in order to get just a little wood slat here, I am going to have to cut this off with my saw, so I'm going to take those in the back and do that. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and get these little drawers of the wood boxes taped up with some duct tape. Just want to tape over the hole in the front, and then I'm going to add some stones, some of these Dollar Tree stones, to the drawer because these are going to be book ends and I need them to have some weight. So also want to glue the drawer into the wood box because when I move the bookends, I don't want the stones to fall out. So I'm going to go ahead and just glue the drawer into the box. Then I'm going to take my wood slat. So now I've cut that arrow down to a 7.5-inch wood slat. I'm going to use some wood glue as well as some hot glue to attach the wood slat to the side of the box. Then I'm going to paint the wood in the same technique I've been using all along, just on the natural wood. I'm going to take a dry brush of the white chalk paint and just lightly brush over the natural wood, and this is going to just give that great weathered beach look. Next, I'm going to take my little ceramic seashell and just glue it right to the top. And then that's it, and then I'll just repeat the process for the other side. And now those are good to go for any of your books, but I'm going to go ahead and create some decorative books. And I'm going to just get these Dollar Tree books. I'm going to paint them in the serene blue, and then I'm going to add a stencil. And I chose my stencil to say sea, sand, and sun. And so I'm going to just use my Dollar Tree stencil to go back and stencil those words on the ends of the books. And here's the finished project. You can use the bookends for your regular books or add the painted books to create a decorative piece. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this first in the series, Dollar Tree DIY Coastal Farmhouse Decor in blue and white. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to give a thumbs up, and please share with any family and friends you think would also enjoy this video. If you have a favorite or plan on making any of these DIYs, please let me know in the comments, and if you're not already a subscriber and you like what you see, please consider subscribing. We'd love to have you join the family. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on Fab Tax, where we're putting the extra and ordinary one DIY at a time.